you have parents abusing their children. You know, it's as if we've come to a point where we actually don't know where the limits are anymore. And it is something that is very, very fundamental. And that is what we want to use as our bonus topic for the day. To a very large extent, people that are abusive most of the times are victims. If we continue to blame them for the mistakes, we will not be able to give them the kind of help that they deserve, the kind of help that will bring them out of the situation that they find themselves in. Now you have a young man that you know grew up in an environment where the father or the uncles or the elder brothers use violence to resolve conflict. It is very, very likely that if this young man comes up understanding that violence works and whoever it is that is meting out the violence is achieving the intention for meting out the violence, he sees it as a possible solution. Then he begins to practice it. Now, conflict will always happen in relationships. And the moment you discover what works, you continue to do it. It becomes the pattern. And so these people will do the same thing, and women as well. But you know, the rate of men abusing women is higher. Okay, so you see that these guys are also guys that have a struggle with self-confidence. They have a very deep struggle with self-confidence, and most of the times when they are not timid, they become aggressive. But they never are at the middle. And so they use violence, they use abuse to establish themselves, especially when they don't have enough money or they don't have as much money as the woman. They use violence, you know, to resolve issues in the house. They use violence to assert themselves. Now, one of the things you're going to notice is that most of these guys that mete out violence, you know, on their wives, on their spouses and all of that, start out as very, very caring men. Very loving, very present, you know, they give you almost everything that you want. They start with talking to you nicely, subtly and all of that. But you discover that every time they don't get what they want, they try a new style. You know, every time they don't get what they want, they try a new style. They start with manipulation. And you'll always hear stuff like, if you love me, A, B, C, or D will not happen. If you care about me, A, B, C, or D will not happen. You know, they try to put you in a situation where you become helpless, disarmed about some of the choices and the lifestyle that you want to have. The more you continue to allow it without seeing those danger signals, they get to a point where they now get physical. When they get physical, they never stop. It's hard to stop. And so they need help. But the mistake that the people that are abused make is that they always think that the person that needs the help is the man that is abusing them. But the woman that is being abused also needs help. She needs more help than the man that is abusing her. Because the moment you are abused, you have become less than a person. And some of the times you might find it very difficult to bounce out of it. It affects your psyche. It affects the way you approach life. It affects your confidence, even in the things that you do. Because the first question, and the question that the women always find difficult to answer is, am I not good enough? Why would this guy beat me? Why would he slap me? Why would he push me around? Am I not good enough? And so, because they are going to be unable to answer those questions, it continues to affect them. It continues to affect them. You know, and it just continues to go from bad to worse. But the question that we must all answer is, why do men even abuse? Irrespective of where you're coming from, irrespective of the challenges that you've had, you know, with growing up and all of that, understandable. But why do men abuse their wives? Part of the research that we did last year showed us that over 50% of the women that are being abused in their relationships, when you check it, their relationships did not start properly. There is a proper way for a relationship to start. And I dare to say to you that the moment you don't start your relationship properly, it is capable of hitting a brick wall. It is capable of suffering certain things that you never even anticipated. Now, most of the times, when a man walks into your life and wants to just begin to spend on you and spend on you and spend on you, it's a danger signal. On the face of it, it might look to you like a miracle. That, oh, this man has walked into my life to just change my life and make my life beautiful. So I used to take trotro, but he's always giving me money to take a cab. What you don't realize is that the man is taking your life away and giving you a life that he has chosen. When you get to a point where your life has been taken away from you, you are living a life that is inconsistent of where you're coming from. Now, what happens ultimately is that even when the person becomes naughty and you begin to notice his excesses, it is difficult for you to walk away, because when you're walking away, what it means is that you're going back to the life you hate now. I don't know if that makes sense. When he begins to give you some of those beautiful privileges, you begin to hate the life you used to live. You don't want to take trotro anymore. Okay? You don't want to eat don't mind your wife bar again. You want to go to the tantalizers and the, all the lovely restaurants and all of that. But what you don't realize is that your life has been taken from you. This can happen to men as well. When the life has been taken from you, when abuse and the danger signals that might bring about abuse begin to manifest, you don't want to walk away. Because you're asking yourself, what do I walk away and walk into? This old life? And so you begin to make excuses for the person that is abusing you and the person that is capable of abusing you. Say, oh, he's just, he has too much temper. But he's a nice guy. He's a good person. Look at all the things he's done for me. The money I spend, the dresses I wear. I've even had the opportunity to go to Akosombo and come back. Next year, he has promised me I'll go to Dubai. You see what you're looking at? What you don't realize is that your life has been what? Taken. The moment your life is taken, you stop being a person. I'll tell you how. The life you are living might not be the best life on the face of the earth. But the life you are living is something you must be proud of. When you are proud of the life you're living, you will discover that your confidence does not come out of what you have or what you don't have. Your confidence comes out of the fact that you know that you're a person. You're proud of yourself. You're proud of your efforts. You know that things are getting better. It might happen gradually, but you're not ashamed of where you're coming from. These people walk into your life and make you ashamed of where you're coming from. They, dangle all those carrots in your face, and then you begin to wish you had a different life. You even get to the point where you begin to take money from these guys to give to your family members. And it begins to affect their judgment. Because all they are thinking about is, we used to eat only fish, now we can eat chicken. You stop being a person. You find yourself, you begin to make compromises that you know you shouldn't make. And it is at that time that the guy begins to make demands of you. The demands don't usually start with sex. Make no mistakes about it. The demands don't usually start with sex. But the guy begins to make demands on you that shows that you are now playing his wife. So he wants you to do his dishes. He wants you to run his errands. He wants you to make food for him. He wants you to do his laundry. He begins to send you on errands that ordinarily you wouldn't go to. And when you say, I'm a bit busy, let's see how it goes, you see his disposition changes. Some of the times he even gets a bit rude and very insistent. But you see, if you continue to see yourself as a person, when he makes a demand, you just say, oh, sorry, I can't do it. Because he respects who you are, he knows his limits. There's a proper way to behave when you're in a relationship. Never sell yourself cheap. Man or woman, never sell yourself cheap. Never sell yourself cheap. If it is 5 Ghana cedi that you have, take a trotro, it's fine. Don't always expect him to give you money for a cab. And don't make it a pattern such that every week he gives you a certain amount of money and you call it your weekly allowance. He's not your father. Never let any man play your father. Because when the man plays your father loses his place. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. When a man plays your father, and the man is not your husband, your father loses his place. And so even when the man begins to beat you, your father can say nothing. He's the one contributing to pay your fees. He's the one contributing to make your wardrobe what it looks like. He's the one that pays your cab fare. When you travel to Dubai, it was him that paid for it. What voice does your father have? I don't know if I'm making sense to you.